In this class, we will try to learn about zamindars and the peasants' situation in the Mughal times and British period. So how was the condition of tenants, landlords in the British and Nizam period? That we'll look at. Okay, look at the figure. These figures first. Who is there in the figure one? It is the king, who is head of the kingdom. In our India, there was a rule of Mughal emperors belonging to Mughal dynasty. So here we can understand that he was the king from Mughal dynasty. So king collects the taxes from a zamindar. Look at the figure 2. In figure 2, you will find that the zamindar have uh, his own army, right? Zamindar collects tax from the people and gives to the king. So between the king and people, we find a zamindar. So zamindar, or we call him landlords. We call him landlord. So landlords were the mediators between the king and the people, right? Look at the figure 3. What do you see here? My land, labor. So it is Jamindar says that that is his land, and he hired the labor for cultivation. Jamindars owned their land and also rented that land for labors, or they cultivated using the labors, right? My land, labor. That means his land, Jamindar's own land, he is cultivating. That means he is not cultivating, he is getting it cultivated by hiring the water labors. That means taking the labors on rent. Then figure 4, my land, my crop. He is a farmer, what you call peasant. Another name to the farmer is a peasant who do not have what you call property. We call him peasant. Okay, so peasant works on his own land and cultivates crops, pays tax to the zamindar, right? So this was a system during the Mughal period. So let us see that how zamindars and peasants in the Mughal time, right? So during the Mughal time, that means Mughal emperors, they given collecting the land revenue to the zamindars. So zamindars, they collected land revenue from the peasants on behalf of the what king. Actually, king how to collect? So king how he collects? Did he collect personally? No. He uses some subordinates. So here zamindars were given the task to collect land revenue. Okay. Then what was given to the zamindars? There, in return, zamindars were given some share in the revenue collected by zamindars. Okay, sometimes they are also given certain right to collect some local taxes from the people. Okay, here we see that the zamindars were the mediators between the emperor and the people. So what was given to zamindars? They also got some share in the collected revenue. Sometimes they are also given permission, or that what you call right to collect some small local taxes on the people. So these zamindars maintained their own army. Okay, they maintained their own army, that what we call small band of soldiers. Band in the sense a group, a team. Okay, so small band of soldiers who uh, moved on horses with the guns. Understand? They carried guns, moving on the horses. Understand? So such were the what army maintained by the jamindars. Understand? And the houses of the jamindars also like a small forts. In Telangana, we call such forts as gadis. Gadi. What do you call? Gadi. Which is called some small fort. Understand? It is a big. It's like a big palace constructed with the stones. uh, and there were some personal armies standing on the fort, looking that anybody is attacking. So Jamindars maintained their own army because they want protection from the people, because they were collecting land revenue from the people, right? And they what to call collected some their own taxes on the people. So people were not happy with them. So it is their opinion that the people may attack, so they maintain their own army instead, and they lived in some small forts, okay, which were covered with completely large walls, which is called fence, so that there could not be attack on them easily. Okay, we call those forts in Telangana gadi gadulu antam Telanganalo. Okay, and this enabled them to control near the villages. They these jamindars, they what to call controlled these nearby the water villages which were under their control. Understand? So these jamindars worked as revenue collectors, right? They were landlords, and we call them here jamindars, feudal lords. In Telangana we call jagirdars, pettandars, dorras, like that. Different words are used for them. So these zamindars acted as revenue collectors. They were the mediators, what do you call intermediates between people and the government. Look at here. Zamindars often acted as the intermediaries between the government and the peasants, between the government and peasant. Understand? And these zamindars, as a land revenue collectors, what you call revenue collect as a revenue collectors, they also represented the problems of the people and the peasants to the government, and they also worked for enforcing the regulations given by the government, that is the king. Whatever the rules and regulations passed by the kings, those were implemented with the support of the jamindars. So jamindars worked here as revenue collectors, and represented the problems of the peasants to the government, and also made the people to follow the regulations given by the government. That was a work, what to call these jamindars did. Understand? So here jamindars also had their own land. Okay, they have their own lands, and those lands they got cultivated using the labors. Understand? Such lands owned by them are called a self-cultivated land, or we call kudkast land. Kud in the sense on own. Okay, kud in the sense on own, the land is cultivated. So it is a Urdu word. Understand? Telangana was a part of the Nizam's region, Nizam's kingdom. Understand? So there was Urdu, an official language, so they you given these names. So Kutkarsh, in the sense self-cultivated land, which was the land of jamindars on their own. They had ownership rights on the lands. Okay, so self-cultivated lands are called kutkarsh. What we call kutkarsh land. Understand? So they also gave their lands to the peasants. In some places, jamindars they given their lands to the peasants for cultivation. Okay, and such lands taken by peasants on rent, and the rent was either giving some share to the peasants who taken land on rent from the zamindars. Okay, and such cultivators we call here tenant cultivators. What do we call? Tenant cultivators. Kauludarlu antam. They These are the peasants. They taken the land of the zamindars on rent. Understand? So how the zamindars given land on rent? It is the share on the crop. Sometimes some share of the crop, what you call cultivated, should be paid to zamindars as rent. Understand? So we find here two types of cultivators. Two types of cultivators. One is peasants who had their own land and cultivated. Those are called peasants. Second type of cultivators are tenant cultivators who taken the lands of the zamindars, cultivated on rent. Those are called tenant cultivators. Kutkarsh is the land of the zamindars. Zamindars cultivated by taking the peasants as laborers. That means they recruited laborers. We call them agriculture laborers. Agriculture laborers worked for wages in the lands of the water zamindar, and that is Kutkarsh. So we find here peasants and what to call tenant cultivators. Understand? Here the work of the zamindars was two. What was the work of the zamindars? They played two important what to call roles. Understand? Two important things, functions they have what to call done. Okay, one is collecting revenue from the people, that is collection of land revenue. Okay, from where they collected? From ordinary peasants. And what to call owning lands as landlords. Second work is that they were the owners of the landlords. Okay, so here we see that two kinds of peasant, just now I stated to you. Okay, one is independent land owning cultivators. That means peasants, they have their own land and paying tax, land revenue to the government through the jamindar. And another cultivators we call tenants. They taken land of the landlords and cultivated. Okay, so this was the system in agriculture. In addition to these two kinds of people, one is jamindars and cultivators. In cultivators, tenants and what to call peasants we have seen. So in addition to these people, in Indian towns and villages we find a large number of highly skilled artisans. Those are what we call weavers, you know, dyers, you know, who what to call fills the color, then masons who construct the houses, then metalsmiths, you know, ironsmiths, carpenters. These are the what highly skilled artisans. Okay, they help the what agriculture people. Along with these people we find craft persons also, craft production and services. Craft production in the sense, so people who use tools for what to call making certain items, understand? Right, especially we see that bullock cart wheels, baskets, plough, the tools used in agriculture side. All those are made by the metalsmith craft products instant. Then services also given by some service people. All these supported the what agriculture activity in Indian towns and villages instant. In addition to these people, we find some other people who given personal services and community services. Personal services and community services. Those are washermen, basket makers, barbers who cut hair, barbers, then butchers who sell meat, instead shepherds who rear the what sheep, and cattle herders who rear the cattle, and also we find agriculture workers. This is the society we see in that period, and some artisans, service providers also we see along the tenants, that means cultivators and jamindars. Generally, artisans and service providers belong to the backward class. That means they belong to lower caste people, those who worked as artisans and given services to the people. Okay, in these artisans and service providers, we find some of these service providers also had some small plot of land, but they did not cultivate it. They got their livelihood by the services they given to the farmers and landlords. Okay, so this is a structure we see what to call in Indian towns and cities instead. So I think you have got it. How was the system here instead? Who were the jamindars and who were the peasants, right? And how the land revenue collected here we have seen, right? And here we see that what is meant by kuch caste. Okay, so this was the system in which jamindars worked as land owners and what you call revenue collectors instead. So they collected a revenue on behalf of the king, that is the government, and they were the intermediaries, that is the mediatories between the people and the government. Okay, this was a system in that period. Okay, and here we see at that time a new system came. That was our Indian towns and villages, the situation after the British. What I said that is before the British period, understand? And now we'll see that during the British period how the land revenue was collected. Okay, before the British period, land revenue collected by kings using the jamindars, understand? So jamindars were given a right to collect the land revenue, and they also given some right to collect their own personal taxes, right? They maintained their own army, understand? So jamindars also had their own lands. So this is a situation before the British. Now what happened during the British period, understand? In British period we see that Britishers have introduced a new system for collecting the land revenue. That means imposing taxes on using the land. So tax collected on land is called land revenue, understand? So for land revenue, Britishers have revised one new system, that what we call Permanent Settlement Act. We call it Permanent Settlement Act, understand? So this has introduced by Britishers when Britishers established their control on India. It means they what to call defeated the kings of the Indian kingdoms, and made India as a colony for them. So during the colonial rule, what I am saying, during the colonial rule, Britishers, they were very much interested in increasing the land revenue. Understand? Because land revenue means which is the main financial resource. Which one? Land revenue. They want much of the financial resources. Britishers were continuously engaged in wars and trading with other countries. For this kind of trade and wars, they need a large quantity of financial resources. So how, what was the main financial resource for the Britishers? It is the land revenue. So they wanted to increase the land revenue very much, which fills their treasury instant. So what to call, as they focused on increasing the land revenue, that is a tax on the land. In that system, what happened? The agriculture system was completely spoiled. They did not pay attention for encouraging the what to call farmers to cultivate. So in the Permanent Settlement Act, they imposed a high tax on the what to call tillers, that is farmers, that what we call cultivators. So it that led to what to call damaging the agriculture system. Okay, that led to ruining of agriculture system was damaged because farmers were not interested to cultivate on such conditions which are imposed by the Permanent Settlement Act. In addition to that, they faced great famines. Famines, it is a situation where we find the absence of rainfall. It may be the floods and drought. Okay, drought and famine, drought and what you call floods are collectively called your famines. So famines were very much, especially droughts. We see that. So when famines heated the people, then they were not able to get crop they cultivated into the hand because of drought condition or maybe the floods. So many millions of the people killed by the famines. Okay. So due to this, the agriculture production was declined and the land revenue declined to the Britishers. The Britishers realized that they should have to create a new system for what to call land revenue. Okay, and that new system should encourage the water agriculture uh, towards what to call giving the land revenue. So to increase the land revenue, there the Britishers have come with a new method, that is a Permanent Settlement Act. Earlier they what to call cultivated large revenue, high land revenue that spoiled the agriculture. So later they come to know that agriculture system should continue because it is the only system giving revenue to them on the land. So land revenue should very important for the Britishers. So they wanted that a farmer should be encouraged to cultivate the land. Understand? And they also wanted that peasants should cultivate more and more land and grow the crops, and those crops demanded in the market, especially which were imported to the which were exported to the Britishers. Understand? At that time we see that cotton, indigo, sugarcane, wheat, these were exported to the England. Those were highly demanded in a European market, which were cotton, indigo, sugarcane, wheat. So here Britishers wanted that peasants should be forced to cultivate cotton, indigo, sugarcane, and wheat, which were needed to the Britishers. Understand? So company officials also at the time, uh, East India Company, actually East India Company what to call kept India under its control. So company officials, what which company, East India Company officials, they began to feel that investment in the land to be encouraged and agriculture has to be improved. Understand? So after a long period of time, after the 2 decades, after 20 years of a debate and a survey, which is the best way for keep continuity in agriculture and land revenue. Finally, the company, what to call, come with a new method, that is Permanent Settlement Act in 1793. At that time, Cornwallis was the Governor General of India, and this Cornwallis introduced the new land revenue system in 1793, that what we call Permanent Settlement Act. What we call Permanent Settlement Act. So let us see that what are the terms and conditions of this Permanent Settlement Act. According to this Permanent Settlement Act, here too Jamindars were given powers to collect revenue. How was the system before the British? Jamindars were given Jamindars were given power to collect land revenue. They were revenue collectors during the what to call before the British period in India. During the British period also, Britishers are given powers to Jamindars to collect revenue upon auction, not action, auction. Look at the word spelling, auction. Auction in the sense, it is a process where some what to call Britishers announced that whoever wins the auction, they will be given rights to collect. అంటాం తెలుగులో పాట పాడమంటాం. Understand? So here Britishers conducted auctions. It's a process where who gets success in the auction, they will be given authority to collect land revenue. So every time Britishers conducted auctions, so some of the Jamindars who got those rights, okay, by what to call increasing the what to call land revenue in the auction, they were given the what rights instant. So it was also called Jamindari settlement, because how much land revenue to be collected, that is decided by Jamindar. Okay, Jamindars have contacts and agreement with company, East India Company. Understand? So East India Company did not think that how much to be collected. Here we see Jamindars decided how much to be collected. So it is called Jamindari settlement. Which one? Permanent Settlement Act, also called Jamindari settlement. Okay. Here they have to pass on 90% of the amount to the government. Suppose 100% they collected, in that 90% should be paid to British as land revenue. Remaining 10% should be retained with the what to call Jamindars as charges for collecting the tax. Understand? And the amount that to be paid to the government was fixed permanently. That means it was not to be increased in future also. That is called permanent. Permanent settlement means once the amount is fixed is permanent. That is called Permanent Settlement Act. Okay. So this was felt that it would ensure a regular flow of revenue to the company. Company officials felt that this will what you call keeps purity of land revenue coming continuously to the Britishers. Understand? So that Permanent Settlement Act was introduced. So company also did the same time encourage the Jamindars also to invest in improving the land. So land the revenue demand of the state would not be increased as what to call the in this system, what to call the revenue is not going to be increased, it is fixed. So that motivates, encourages the Jamindars, because Jamindars were going to pay a fixed amount that is permanent, right? They can collect much more because they have contact with the peasants. Company did not have contacts with the peasants. Company have contacts with the zamindars. Zamindars have contacts with the peasants.